You shared with us some really, really cool stuff. The opening tom beat, that demo that you had sent me, and then I heard some of the vocals from the. I think it was the second demo you sent, like the part like tonight, like the vocal fluctuations. They were already there on that first demo. That was so cool.
Yeah, so Nate, you can hear like in the demo that you're referring to is just kind of like mumbling the melody.
Yeah.
But before that was we were messing around in the studio in upstate New York, and I really wanted to write a song, kind of like there was a Modest Mouse song. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on Good News for People Who Love Bad News. I think it's the first track on there. And I just had this kind of thought, like, it's time for us to make a song that's that good. And, like, I'm going to kind of do that. So you can hear that a little bit in the demo with the... that plus being super inspired by My Beautiful Twisted Fantasy by Kanye and that song Runaway. So the demo I sent, I don't know if you'll play a clip or anything, but it pretty much is a ripoff of Runaway that I made and then sent to Nate. And then he came back to me and was like, okay, it's good. I've got an idea for how the melody's going to work, but it needs to really slow down into the chorus. The chorus can't be that fast. So It needs to really open up in the chorus. And then so we started kind of playing with that. So if by the time the bar closes, and then so that like pre-chorus beat kind of takes a minute to get into the chorus, and then the chorus is a full-on shutdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I remember all of it pretty well. I remember the process pretty well because it was fun. It was fun for us to kind of like crack the puzzle of like the tempo map and the feel of how it ought to open up and all that stuff.
Yeah, this song almost shouldn't work. It is one of the strangest arrangements. Parts come in that never happen again. I kind of equate this song. I'll use the Queen example. It's like a Bohemian Rhapsody, like some grandiose opus, like 10, 11 minutes that you were able to condense into a 4-minute pop song. It goes through these little different, almost operatic changes. When you get to that bridge part, it's like, what is happening now? And as you said, the tempo map, the tempo changes in the song is just really interesting. And then the coda at the end is just goosebumps for days. And all you want to do is rewind the track and hear it again.
Man, that is so kind of you. Yeah, it just, I mean, we're huge Queen fans, which I think anybody that has heard our band probably can tell.
Right.
And then also like Beach Boys, like you can hear that in some of the backing vocals. And like you mentioned, like things coming in just once or twice. Like that's one of my favorite things on like Pet Sounds, for example. You just hear like a ukulele hit once.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what, why? But I've always loved that. Like you don't need it more than once. Just give us a taste.
Well, I'm not the only one that thinks this is a unique and amazing song. I mean, this song is still moving. If you just the YouTube plays alone, the views are at over 1 billion. I can't comprehend 1 billion. The only time I ever saw 1 billion in my life is when McDonald's used to put on the sign how many hamburgers they sold. You can't comprehend 1 billion. Congratulations. And I still hear the song everywhere I go. It's in malls. It's just part of, it got into TV shows like Glee and different things. It transcended anything and probably you ever thought we'd ever be able to do in a band, right?
Oh, for sure. It was just shocking to me. Like I always kind of thought like I'll be like making like little weirdo indie songs, and that's cool. Like I love that. I love like the people that listen to our music and the people that found our band. And then suddenly it was this leap into a world where it was just like very, very foreign to us.
Well, and this song, it's not some down-tuned like modern sound. It is a modern sound, but the 50s progression in here, it's the old 1-6-4-5. thing. Ed Sheeran harnesses that very well. He'll take old stuff and make it sound new. And this song has that. I can sing some of these 50s standards over this song, but you wouldn't hear it if you didn't sit down with a guitar and comb through it like I did. I'm like, wow, the basis of this song is just old rock and roll, but all the elements and production that you guys did to it, and the fact that it's 10 years old now, 11 years old, it still sounds as current today as anything on the radio or out there.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think we can give our producer Jeff Basker a lot of credit for that. He introduced us to the Moog Voyager, which provides the low end, provides the basically what I consider to be like the heart of the song. It just once that hits in the chorus, you can feel it, and that beat, that big long snare. That was Jeff. So he's really good. And throughout the album that we made with him, he was really good about finding different ways to kind of modernize and refresh the ideas we had and kind of make them more universal, more palatable, more unique. He's just a very, very skilled producer for sure.
I feel like all the pieces of the puzzle were there on this. I had read somewhere that he drove himself crazy mixing this song for like 2 weeks because he wanted it to be just right because, it's such a grand song. But I feel like it was everybody here. You almost wonder, what if you went with another great producer? Would it have come out like this?
Funny you mentioned that because we had another producer come out while we were working in upstate New York writing in the sessions that spawned. We rented a studio and slept there, and out of that came Carry On, Some Nights, the beginnings of a few more songs. But we had a producer come out there. He even stayed with us. We made Brussels sprouts together, and we had like a little retreat. And it was really fun. We really got along well. I don't know if I should mention who it was, but
go for it.
It was Dennis Herring, Dennis Herring.
Okay.
Who we're huge fans of. He had just come off making the Waves record, King of the Beach, which I was obsessed with, and he had great ideas, especially with Carry On. We kind of made a demo that was relatively well fleshed out. And it just didn't work for one reason or another. We just couldn't kind of come to an agreement on whether it was money or schedule. I don't remember. But it didn't work with Dennis. And we kind of thought let's shoot for the moon here in terms of we love Drake, we love Kanye, we love, just generally this futurism that Jeff is bringing into the world. So let's try to work with Jeff. And I think he ended up liking the songs and it ended up working out. But I think it would have been great with Dennis.
Yeah, no, this track, Some Nights, that's another one. Just the vocals on that, that song's just absolutely beautiful. But, this track, again, when you were putting it together, okay, and I asked this a lot in the show, you're into the album, you got 7-8 songs cooking. Where did this one sit for you? What'd you think?
In the order of operations or in the
Yeah, just kind of, you got 6 or 7 songs, some demos, some ideas floating, and where was this one? Did you always know it was something special, or was it when the final product was done, it was mixed, you're like, wow, we got a monster on our hands? Or you still didn't know?
I think we knew relatively early on. Yeah, it came about, maybe 6 or 7 songs in, and I think we were kind of like, that's the one. That'll do. Mm-hmm. But I kind of have felt that way about every song that I've ever done, and maybe that's ego and maybe that's misplaced, but I do think it's kind of I've also thrown away a lot of stuff that I just didn't want to even finish. And so generally when I finish something or when we finish something as a band, we kind of thought cool, that one's good. And then with this one, the difference I guess was that when we played it for people, they were like, whoa, can I get a copy of that? Can you send me that demo? Can I hear, I want to hear more of that. And usually when I send people stuff, they're like, cool, that's good. You did, all right, cool.
Hey,
and then
good
with
job.
This one, can I give me that, please? And so that was kind of our clue that it was this is working pretty well.
That's really interesting. Well, you mentioned that Jeff, the producer, that he, making those blown out snare sounds, were those samples or did he create all those?
Well, this is a little trade secret that I don't know if anybody has publicly talked about.
Uh-oh.
So it started as a sample. It started as a sample of Microphone Fiend by Erik and Rakim. And so
Oh
if
my
you listen
God.
to that, you can hear it towards the end. It is that snare, it is that kick, and it's huge. But they wanted to charge us to use it, of course, as samples, that's how they work.
Sure.
And we didn't have any money, so we replaced it. We recreated it. And so, I mean, it sounds pretty darn close, but it is a recreation of that initial idea of being a sample. But it's original.
That is so cool. So you heard something you loved, and you're like, we're not going to pay a licensing fee, but we could emulate that. We can get it close, and I don't think you could have got it any better.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could have used the original, just because how cool is that to sample Erik and Rakim? I mean, I love it. And we did that a couple times on the record where it was like, I wish we could use that, but we just can't afford it. So let's figure out how else to do it, which maybe provoked some, I don't know if innovation is the right word, but it made us work a little harder, which I think usually, you give yourself a boundary or a parameter and it makes you get creative within that. So I think it worked.
Right.